The NFL show on the Grilling Truth Sports Network. As always, the NFL show and the Grilling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. So head on over and check out betting.net. All right, guys, we're the NFL show. We're a dead week, so we finally convinced Steve there's no games to pick this week. So we're going to talk a little NFL news, and there's a lot of NFL news here, and none of it is good for the NFL. We're going to talk a little about integrity in the NFL. Number one, I don't think you can actually put two together in the same sentence, can you, Dan?
Not these days. It looks like it's getting ugly. There's a lot coming out, and it's on a whole bunch of different fronts, and it's involving a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different levels of those teams. It's getting crazy.
Yeah, and Steve, this is to be expected, correct?
Correct.
I mean,
I don't think it's anything new. I think this crap goes on all the time. I think the NFL is about as corrupt of an organization as there is in this country next to our government. And I just think that, it's a bunch of good old boys, billionaires with a bunch of money. But why do we really care? It's their business. Let them run it how they want to run it.
I disagree. There's no world where you can just randomly treat people like shit. And Daniel Snyder, which we'll get to his Washington Commanders in a little bit, but Daniel Snyder, I think, is the poster child of this. Because today there were new allegations that came out against him, and of course, his sexual assaults and everything that happened in that Washington, whatever you want to call them. But today you had a woman that came out and explained again, or she was an employee of the Washington Redskins at the time, Tiffany Johnston, and she said that he put his hand on her thigh and tried to push her towards his limousine until his attorney intervened. Now, normally I would say, Steve, we could wait and see how this plays out. But with Daniel Snyder, I don't think there's any doubt from what we've seen that this is true. And the thing is, John Gruden gets fired for emails, and emails that, emanated from basically an investigation on Daniel Snyder, and that investigation never came out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what the hell is... Well, I mean, they put out like 200 pages on Deflategate and Tom Brady's footballs.
This whole thing, I mean, I'm going to come out of this on the losing end of this in a huge way, but every time we turn around and some owner pats a girl on the back, tells her good job, it becomes sexual harassment.
He pushed her towards a limousine and he touched her thigh.
It might well be. It might well be, but why don't these people come out right when the incident occurs? Why do they wait all this time to come out and make these accusations and things like that with no proof, just a snippet to the press, and the press runs with it and automatically convicts Daniel Snyder? And in this case, Daniel Snyder may well be guilty. He certainly has the inclination that he is.
Well, he admitted to doing a lot of the stuff already, Steve.
The thing about this witch hunt on money, and that's what it boils down to. It boils down to a damn witch hunt on money. Pay me off, just like Cuomo, the governor. He got charged with nothing. He walked away from that, writing some checks to some girls to shut him up, and they walked away with the check and cashed it, and are shopping on Rodeo Drive. And that's what this whole thing, and I'm going to lose here because you're going to get hate mail, and there are people out there that are being sexually harassed. There's no doubt about it.
But these people aren't, right? Because he's rich and he's Daniel Snyder. And he has admitted to doing it before, and he did apologize.
Being an NFL owner doesn't automatically make you a pervert.
No, but sending your Washington Redskin cheerleaders to a private island for a guy and making them pose topless kind of does, Steve. So there's already a history here.
And as I said, Daniel Snyder is not the best example to make my case with, and he probably is guilty, but I don't know.
Hey, Joseph's on and he said Dan is all blurry, kind of an improvement.
He is blurry again. Dan, fix your damn computer.
Come on, Dan. We got to fix that. All right. So let's go back to the integrity. We got Brian.
Now, this is a high-end show.
We got Brian Flores, who basically is accusing the NFL of firing him.
Debate on what I said?
No, because it would be stupid to debate it because we're going to talk about Washington here in a little bit. I just wanted to tie this in because it was new news today. So we'll get to talk about Daniel Snyder here in a little bit.
All right.
But right now we got Brian Flores, and Dan is gone. So Joe got his wish. Dan is back. So Joe's disappointed.
Dan, the idiot has control of the buttons.
I don't know what's going. I don't know what's going.
I don't have control of any buttons.
When
My
you
hands
give
are right
the
here.
idiot control of the buttons, this is what you get.
Who's
This
the
is why
idiot in
I
control of the
can't
Look,
buttons?
I'm going to get whacked out now.
Why? I never touched it when Dan did it. It was Dan.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know what's going on with my connection.
So, Brian Flores, I believe this, Dan. I mean, just on the surface, it's Stephen Ross, who was a guy who has ran that football team into the ground for years. What's your take on what Brian Flores says about being offered $100,000 to lose games? I'm not as inclined to believe Hugh Jackson because I don't know why you'd have to pay Hugh Jackson to lose football games. But go ahead, Dan.
I am not sure what to believe here when it comes to the whole Brian Flores situation. I mean, there is something to the fact that the NFL only has one minority head coach, one African American head coach, and in a league that's 70%, black, to have one coach, that's a little weird. And even when you look at offensive and defensive coordinators, you're not really seeing a lot of numbers there. And while that's a thing, the numbers don't lie. That's all real. And black coaches do get less of a rope than some of their non-black and non-minority counterparts. And people have been pointing to the difference between Flores and Joe Judge. And they've been saying, well, Flores had back-to-back winning seasons. Joe Judge wins, 10 games in 2 seasons. And Joe Judge is back for a third year. And Flores is out looking for a job. I know he's one of the finalists in Houston.
Joe Judge got fired, Dan.
I'm sorry, Flores.
No, you said Joe Judge kept his job after the 2 years.
I'm sorry. He was going to keep his job until things got too crazy and they moved on. But that was
So the
thing.
quarterback
He was
sneaked
getting
towards
the
the
benefit of the doubt. He was going to get the benefit of the doubt, and Flores was already out. That's the disparity that people point to. It's why do we have something like that happen? Why is Eric Bieniemy still looking for a job? Why is Vance Joseph? You said Caldwell before we got on the air. Why are these
Jim Caldwell is the most qualified to be an NFL head coach out of anybody that doesn't have a job right now, including Brian Flores.
I mean, the Rams are hiring. The Vikings are hiring the Rams offensive coordinator, O'Donnell, or he looks like he's the favorite right now to be Minnesota's head coach. He doesn't even call plays in for the Rams. McVay does. So,
but you can say the same thing about Bieniemy, though.
You could say the same thing about Bieniemy. That's probably part of the reason why he hasn't gotten much love either. But still, it's too coincidental when it comes to stuff like that. And then you got guys like Josh McCown, who's actually in the conversation as a head coach in the NFL to be the coach for the Texans. Like things like that, it's weird. And I there's something to it, but I don't know if Brian Flores got fired because he was black. I don't think it was anything like that. I don't. But
yeah, but what's scarier than him being fired because he's black, Steve, is if he got fired because he refused to throw football games.
Or that, yeah. Either way, it's egregious.
What do you think,
yeah.
Steve?
It's egregious. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you what I feel because it's not appropriate to put on the air. And
what do you feel?
No, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. It's crazy. I'm tired of people getting positions because of reasons other than the fact that they're the best candidate for the job, regardless of anything else, bar none. I have to believe that all of these NFL owners, the one thing they want is to win. they all want to be playing this weekend. And so they're all going to do whatever they can do and spend all the money they can spend and get the money means nothing to these guys. But for reasons or the dance around everything else, they don't always have that opportunity to do that. You know, I mean, I don't know. If I owned an NFL franchise, I wouldn't want to be told I have to make decisions based on anything else other than I and my staff feel are the best person to put in that position to bring my team to Los Angeles next Sunday. And it stops right there. Nothing else should matter. It's sport. Put people out there and let the best people play.
Yeah, but they continually hire guys that are unqualified. I mean, come on. I mean, if you just look, if you compare Jim Caldwell to Josh McCown.
No, I've asked
Exactly.
you in the 7 years I've known you, I've asked you, Mikey, you're qualified. Why don't you go coach in the NFL?
I don't want.
You could make $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year right now.
They won't let me keep my wife with me all the time, Steve. I don't.
Okay, well, maybe a lot of there aren't that many. Maybe the talent pool just isn't big enough for 30 NFL teams.
I think this. I think the talent pool is not big enough because of all the nepotism and crap that goes into this. I don't think that it is necessarily racism that they're not hiring, African Americans. I think the issue is if you look at McVay, I mean, he gets the job when he's 32. He got the job because his dad, John, had been an NFL head coach. He'd been an NFL GM. He was already in those circles.
He did 2 Super Bowls.
That's not the point. The point is,
what is the point?
My point is this. Jim Caldwell was a great football coach.
Is this the Jim Caldwell that used to coach the Colts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim Caldwell. This is the thing. Jim Caldwell, the guy who saved Peyton Manning's career.
He was in Detroit, didn't he?
Yeah, he was at Indianapolis. And the thing is this, Steve.
Great coach.
Before he got to Indianapolis, Peyton Manning had thrown 80 interceptions in his first 4 years. Caldwell got there as the quarterback's coach and cut that to 12 a year from 20 a year. And, I mean, when you look at that, he takes over as the head coach. His first year, only rookie head coach to go win his first 14 games. The Colts go to the Super Bowl. The next year, the Colts are in the playoffs. His record's like 27-8 for 2 years. The next year, Peyton Manning's hurt. Peyton Manning's not the quarterback. They give him Dan Orlovsky and Curtis Painter. He goes 2-14 and they fire him. He goes to Detroit. Matthew Stafford was the guy at the time. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. People were wondering if they picked the wrong guy. He gets there, coaches Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford takes him to the playoffs, and they fire his ass again. I mean, so you can sit here and say
that Jim Caldwell shouldn't be a coach in the NFL.
Why?
Why not?
Why shouldn't he be a coach in the NFL?
He's had success everywhere he's gone.
Yeah. You just said he should be a head coach, and it's a joke that he's not. How are you going to explain that?
Neither the Colts nor the Lions gave him the equipment he needed or the talent he needed to get his team to the Super Bowl. They just neither team stepped up to the plate like they got to.
I'll tell you what.
The Rams were bringing players in 5 weeks before the season was over.
What was that?
They brought in number 3, the damn goofy wide receiver.
Yeah, what's that got to do with Jim Caldwell, though?
Well, it's like I'm saying, teams that want to spend the money and want to get the right players in and keep bringing teams in, keep retooling, those teams will get to the Super Bowl. You know, the Bucks lured Gronkowski out of retirement and brought him back along with Brady, and they get to the Super Bowl and win. You know, and I mean the teams that don't do that, like Detroit and Indianapolis, they're going to flounder.
But they had a head coach that could do that.
I don't like the fact that winning in sports, in football, in the NFL, has been placed on other things other than just may the best team win. It doesn't
been placed on.
You know, or it does.
What's it based on? I thought it was. I thought that's the only thing that matters.
I'm sorry, it does do that. But I look at the teams that have spent the money to do that, to bring the players in and get the teams built. I don't know how important the head coach is in the NFL.
It is extremely important. It's the most important thing in the NFL outside of players.
You have a hard time convincing me.
Well, you wouldn't have a hard time convincing me because I watch teams that continually don't make the proper adjustments get beat. I mean, last week the Kansas City Chiefs didn't lose because their players weren't good enough.
Is that because you got some idiot head coach sitting there telling an offensive coordinator who's focusing on nothing but that, or a defensive coordinator, hey, we got to make this move? No, we're not going to make that move right now. That's not going to happen. Well, the offensive coordinator's going, the plays we're running aren't working, sport.
Yeah, so that's on the head coach, Steve.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The thing is this, when you watch the Chiefs game at the goal line last week, Patrick Mahomes called that play. I don't care what Andy Reid said about him calling it or not. If you watch
him down and call the play, there's not much a head coach can do about that anyway.
Yeah, there is, because this is the thing. Andy Reid was going to kick the field goal. No, I'm saying, yeah, I would if he wasn't going to call what I wanted him to call in that situation.
You benched Patrick Mahomes twice, and your ass.
Well, if I'd have benched Patrick Mahomes there and kicked a field goal, I'd have probably won the damn game. But what happened is, when you watch inside the NFL, they've got the mic'd up version, where Mahomes is running off the field yelling at them, I got this. And Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid both look at him and go ahead. That's bad coaching. I mean, they don't even know what he's going to call. And if he called that play, I mean, he's a horrible football coach. And I can tell you this right now, I would rather have a guy like Jim Caldwell over Andy Reid. I've watched it, and this is the thing. I watched an interview with Peyton Manning today from a few years ago where they asked him why there was such a big change in his career after the first 4 years, and he said it was because Jim Caldwell got here. He said, as soon as he got here was my quarterback's coach, he said, I understood everything that much better. And that guy can't get an interview, Steve. Yeah, that's an issue.
If I was an owner of a team, here's what I would want. I would want Patrick Mahomes in direct communication with my offensive coordinator, and I would tell the head coach, stay out of this.
He can't, because then you don't have a head coach.
Coordinator sitting in a box up top, looking at things from a 2,000-foot level, and the quarterback's on there taking the hits, running the plays, looking at the holes, seeing what's working and what's not working. Let those two figure it out.
Well, if Andy Reid would have stepped in and said, no, we're kicking the field goal, they'd probably be in the Super Bowl.
And get them in there.
Well,
and then let the offensive coordinator call and discuss all options with the quarterback. Otherwise, you get a head coach in there who, just like you said, doesn't know. Let's idiot people make calls. They say, I don't know.
Well, I think it's possible they went back out and Andy Reid or Bieniemy called the play, but it was stupid.
And Andy Reid would have run the damn play.
Well, the whole point of this,
in my years at Indiana, nobody questions Bob Knight's decisions in the last 2 minutes of a game.
Nobody questions his decisions. You don't question a head coach.
Well, yeah. But I don't know. Maybe
and you don't wave the head coach off.
The head coach in the NFL is overrated.
It's really not, because you know what? Bill Belichick proves he's not overrated. Hell, this year he took a team that didn't belong anywhere near the playoffs to the playoffs with a
basically. Who's the guy that's the offensive coordinator for the?
And it doesn't matter, because that guy's not a very good coach. That guy failed. Everyone at Belichick. I'll tell you how.
Coordinator for the Patriots, and he's got a head job now.
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels, and he'll fail.
Yeah, that guy's going to fail miserably. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and the guy that should have kept a job with the Raiders was also a minority. He took him to the playoffs. He damn near beat the team that's in the Super Bowl, and they fired his ass. He went to Indianapolis and beat the Colts when the Colts were hot as hell. He goes and beats the Chargers when they got the great Justin Herbert. And then he almost beat Cincinnati in the playoffs. And they get rid of him.
Why not keep him as a coach, spend some money, Mark Davis, and fill some gaps and holes over the offseason. Strengthen your team. You got fan base support. From what I understand, the fan base didn't want the guy fired. But in this case, there's another adage. In the NFL, it's like perception is reality. Well, it's like what everybody perceives is what the owners think they got to do.
My perception of the NFL is this. You've got pretty much 32 white owners, all old guys or old families.
Yeah.
And let's face it. I mean, how many 80-year-olds do you
problem
know
right
that
there.
aren't a little racist? And I still think there is something to this, Steve. And you know what? A long time ago, a few years ago, 2 years ago, I was with you on this. But when you look at this and you look the way, I think the perfect example is Wilkes, the guy who was the coach with the Cardinals for 1 year. They went 3-13. He got him a really high pick. They fired his ass immediately. Drafted Kyler Murray. Got Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury got to coach the team that could win. It's almost like they take these guys as sacrificial lambs, put them in a position so they can get high draft picks, and they fire their ass and let the other ones. Zach Taylor,
Yeah.
if he was Wilkes or if he was Flores, his ass would have been fired after 2 years in Cincinnati. Instead, they kept him because they got what they needed and they let him win. You can shake your head, but it's true.
No. I shake my head because I believe you. You're absolutely right. And I'm saying, what is the solution here?
The solution. Go ahead, Dan.
Don't let me do all the damn.
I forgot Dan was here. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm burying myself. I'm going to get an email.
You're not burying yourself, Steve. You buried yourself early, but you saved it. Go ahead, Dan.
In about 2 days saying, you don't ever broadcast on our.
It's almost like Steve wants to bury himself. Go, Dan.
I do. I want to go back to watching the 18th Pebble Beach. Peyton Manning.
Go ahead, Dan.
No, I was just going to say that, some people might want to look at this whole situation with Flores, say, well, yeah, he got screwed, but they might say, it's a coincidence. Oh, all these things happening are coincidences. But
crap, my ass says he got screwed royally.
At some point, there's too many things going on over the span of several years and decades that it stops being a coincidence after a while.
Right.
Yeah, and the problem with this now is this. You've got a lot of people that think the NFL is rigged.
Well,
we had one.
Walked away.
He'll be back. No, he's having issues. But the thing is this. We had a comment the other day asking if we thought the NFL was rigged, if you remember, Steve. And the reason we're talking about the integrity of the NFL is when people talk about it being rigged, and then all of a sudden you hear that coaches are being offered money to throw games, that's a severe issue. I mean, Major League Baseball went through this in the early 1900s. You had the 1919 World Series was the capper on it, and there had been games that had been fixed for the first 2 decades by Major League Baseball. Baseball was about to die at that point until they brought in Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who basically just destroyed everybody, didn't do what they were supposed to do. So I think Stephen Ross should not own this team anymore. It should not be his team.
I mean, if things
they're not going to can him. They all do it.
Hey, the point is this, and we'll get to Daniel Snyder too in a bit. They all do it. This is the thing. This league can lose credibility and no longer exist. It can. Because you know what? There's a lot of other people with a lot of money that would love to own a team in a league. You can shake your head no, but nobody bets on the WWE.
I am in your camp.
But nobody bets on the WWE.
Ray Kraft. What the hell is Ray Kraft doing going to a massage parlor in Miami in his Mercedes, his own damn car, parks it out front, goes into a massage parlor that's known
not the same thing
as a prostitution house, and when walks out.
It doesn't affect the integrity of the game. It just means that Kraft's a pervert.
Well, it affects the integrity of Ray Kraft.
I don't care about the integrity of Ray Kraft. I care about the integrity of the game.
Yeah, and Mike, you just nailed it right on the head, because with all these things coming at the NFL at the same time in different directions, the very soul of the NFL as we know it is on the line. Everything we know about this league is on the line. Not only the integrity of the games being played on the field, but we're talking about owners paying off coaches to lose games on purpose to get better draft picks, and then just canning them like they were nothing. Then you've got owners accused of sexual harassment and repeat offenders at that. Then you've got this whole question of race with all the coaches and all the sham interviews. And it's, the NFL is going to really either show us that they mean business, that they care about what's right, that they care about taking care of people and doing the right thing, or they're going to sell out. Goodell's going to defend the owners who are effectively his bosses, and the shield is going to shield these men from any sort of real punishment or anything going down, any hammers being cracked down on them. And that's just the way it is. If the NFL does it right and things come out and these accusations are backed by fact and testimonies and all the things needed, then Snyder should be out. The Dolphins owner should be out. We might see a shakeup that we've never seen in professional sports, and we'll see how crazy it gets. We'll see how crazy it gets.
Well, how about this?
Let me play devil's advocate here. I'm just playing devil's advocate because I agree with you, Dan. But the question is, as a fan, you're obviously a Lions fan, right? And Mike, you're a Bengals fan, correct?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I'm a Colts fan. Do we care more about our team or the NFL?
That's not the point, because the point is this. Without the NFL, you don't have that team, Steve. And the NFL can...
Do you care more about the fact that the Lions and the Colts are not in the playoffs, or that the NFL is screwing the world?
To tell you the truth, Steve,
I care more about what's going on right now, to be honest.
Steve,
I care about the fact that the Colts aren't in the playoffs.
Steve, I'll tell you this. On my wall, I got guys that send me stuff that they sign. There's a dude by the name of Matt Blair on here, and he's not the only one. He played for the Minnesota Vikings, one of the greatest special teams players, one of the greatest linebackers to ever play. Yeah. And he got CTE. And the NFL, even though they lost that lawsuit, never paid his family. His family, lost their ass. Matt Blair is a guy who I interviewed in 2016. By 2019, he would call me, and I couldn't even understand what he was saying. The NFL didn't care. I care more about what the NFL is doing, because in the long run, Major League Baseball destroyed itself. The number one sport in the world up until probably the mid-'70s was Major League Baseball. 75 million people watched Game 7 of the 1975 World Series. There was a Game 7 with the Dodgers a couple of years ago that 14 million people watched. And the reason that happened is you had a strike in 81, you had a strike in 94. Then they decided to get everybody back by letting all the players shoot up steroids so they could hit 75 home runs a year. And they have lost their credibility. Now, if you throw in the fact that maybe teams are actually throwing games, this is over. It's the WWE, because all the sports gambling that goes on, there's no sports gambling on the WWE because it's contrived. And the thing that really sticks out to me, if you go on San Francisco 49er Facebook pages right now and Kansas City Chief Facebook pages, almost every post is about that game was rigged. We didn't lose it. It was rigged. And the problem is this, Steve, that used to be 3, 4, 5% of people 5 years ago. Now, I really think probably close to a quarter of people, maybe almost half, have some doubt in their mind if what they see is not scripted. And I don't think it is, because I think there's too many things that play into this. Because you can say, if you're a Chiefs fan, well, it was scripted for the Bengals to win. How the hell do you know McPherson's going to make a field goal from 52 and a field goal from 35? You don't. If he misses it, you don't win. So I don't think that happens. But right when you have all these fans complaining that these games are fixed, you have a guy who was just an NFL head coach a couple weeks ago come out and say they offered me money to lose a game. That's a significant problem.
That's a really big problem. And it's something that can really destroy not only a fan's confidence in the game, but just kill things. Because as a fan, you know how disgusted I would be if I find out like the Lions suck, and like, what if some refs are throwing games, some of these coaches are throwing games? If you're a Browns fan, how disgusted would you be if you're hearing your head coach was given $750,000 because he was meeting incentives in his contract, and those incentives happened to be paying him for losing?
Well, Hugh Jackson now came out and said that's not exactly what he meant, because that's why I don't trust Hugh Jackson. But go ahead, Steve.
But it's crazy.
No, I know, I agree with you. The NFL just has a fan branded loyalty that it's going to take longer for it to implode than it did for baseball.
Oh no, baseball was freaking huge. Baseball and boxing in the early parts of the 20th century was everything.
Well,
The NFL didn't really get
2020, not
big until the
1920.
1960s. So that was built in. And this is my thing, Steve. Because of everything I do know about the NFL, the way they treat players and stuff, I watch the Bengals games. I'll watch the red zone the rest of the day. I would say this year I probably didn't see any Monday Night Football game all the way through because I don't care as much as I used to. But right now I want to bring up, since the games are legit, go to maximbet.com, 100% deposit match, bonus up to $2,000 plus, and a $50 free bet credit. All right, go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say back to Flores and everything with that. I'm actually very glad that he's decided to come out and do this. While his lawyers seem a little over their head because they're going on this radio and TV tour and going on interviews and stuff, and they didn't really sound too good on the airwaves locally. But that aside,
there's a good chance he's going to lose just because he's going up against the NFL.
Oh yeah, well, when you have infinite money and the best lawyers,
But I also know this. This is not just news on the ESPN and sports networks now. This is national news. This is CNN, Fox, all those fake news places are jumping all over this.
Yep.
And no, I didn't vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden. But, I mean, there's a significant issue here. And we can kind of how about this? Jimmy Haslam. If it wasn't for the fact it was Hugh Jackson, I would completely believe him because Hugh Jackson is a guy who was in federal court under investigation and on trial just 4 years ago. If there was an NFL player or coach that all of a sudden was being federally investigated, he wouldn't be playing. Jimmy Haslam was still owning the Cleveland Browns.
This whole thing, it has such far-reaching implications, and at this point, it's not even involving just head coaches. I know Terrell Austin interviewed with the Detroit Lions back in 2018, and he's saying that was a sham, that he never really had an opportunity to get that job, that they already had their guy in mind, and he just was brought on to fill the Rooney Rule. And
that's what makes the Rooney Rule bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, and as good as of an idea as the Rooney Rule is, because I think there has to be something like that in the NFL to.
Yeah, but I don't know how you can do something like that and not have them just try to fill a quota.
Well, I was going to say, it's a good idea, and I love the thought of it, and I'd like to see it work, but it's not working, and it's bullshit, and they have to change it. I don't know how you change it, but at this point, these coaches might be onto something. It's becoming a farce. They're getting these interviews with absolutely no real shot at getting the job. It doesn't matter how good they do or how they blow somebody away. And then you have stories of, John Elway showing up to the interview hungover.
That's true. Every story I've ever heard about John Elway since he retired, he was hungover. So,
well, we'll see how that goes. If he's going to have people that can verify that and say, oh yeah, Johnny used to come to meetings all the time, a little sauced up from the night before.
I got a couple Bengal players, former Bengal players, that actually a couple years ago when the Bengals played the Broncos were in a restaurant or a sports bar at like 11:30, 12 in the morning, and John Elway came in and was drunker than hell. So,
and I'll tell you what,
still a hell of a quarterback though.
Oh, hell yeah. But no, I'll tell you what, as a Lions fan and seeing how everything has gone with the team, we had Caldwell. When the man got fired, he was the winningest Lions head coach since the 50s. Okay. And he got replaced by a white coach. And then you have.
Now, the problem there is he got replaced by a bad white coach.
Well, yeah, that too, a terrible coach. But he got replaced by a white guy. Then you have same thing with Hugh Jackson. Then you look around the league, and of the past few coaches who were fired after one season, 60% of them are African American, and you wonder. It's there's pattern. At some point things stop becoming coincidence, and then it becomes a pattern, and it becomes something.
Don't do that, Steve. You look like Bill Walton when you put the sunglasses on. All right, now Dan, since you filibustered, is Steve allowed to speak now? He was trying to 5 minutes ago, and you just ignored it.
I got excited. I'm sorry.
Not just get me in more trouble.
I think be in trouble.
I think that, well, do you think it's appropriate that the President of the United States comes out and says
No.
only interviewing black
No.
females?
I think it's all right if the President of the
I'm
United
not
States
looking at
interviews.
anybody that's more
Hey,
qualified than a black
hey,
female.
how about this? I think that's
This is the highest
disrespectful.
job in the government that you can have is to be on the Supreme Court. And I'm going to say only these candidates can be interviewed. Black females. I got 12 of them right here. Black females that are going to. We're not interviewing any white females, any white males, any Asian females, any Asian males. And, this whole Rooney thing is a crock of shit. Brian Flores should have gotten the interview with New York because Brian Flores is qualified. And it's ridiculous for the Giants to not take a look at this guy.
And they're going to lose a draft pick for that, too, is my guess.
Miami dumped him and didn't think about bringing in more talent for him. And I think it's an easy excuse to say it's racism, but I guess it is. I can think of nothing else.
All right, Gunner's boss, real quick. The Rooney Rule is racist in itself. I don't need rules for employment in Jamaica, but when it comes to black and white, out of many one people, but it seems like a section of Americans don't believe so. Then we got Joseph Michael chimes in. Disagree, Dan. The Rooney Rule promotes racism within the sport. Anytime anything is based on the color of someone's skin instead of the qualifications, even when it sounds like a good idea, promotes racism.
I agree.
Yeah, but that's just a lazy statement because you got to look at the facts and you got to look at the numbers. It's one thing and it's a peachy pie in the sky idea to say everyone's going to get a job based on their credentials.
Yeah, but Dan, I think what Joe's trying to say is, I think he's trying to say that the Rooney Rule promotes racism. I think what he's saying there is, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but when you're going ahead and you're just interviewing guys that are African American, then you can say you're not racist because you gave them a chance. Without the Rooney Rule, then everybody's going to wonder, why didn't you interview Jim Caldwell? But they're not going to say, why did you interview Jim Caldwell? Because you just interviewed Marvin Lewis or whoever it is with no intention of hiring. At least I think that's what Joe meant.
Well, that's why I said I think it's a good idea, sort of a thing. It's a cute idea to want to have, more opportunities for minority candidates to get this job because there's only a couple of them. There's one in Rivera and Mike Tomlin, the only black coach. Like, you want more diversity in the coaching ranks and you want more diversity in front offices. And you want to see that because the NBA has that. The NBA doesn't have that problem. They have female coaches, female refs, females owners, key females in key front office positions around the league. They have black head coaches. They have black assistant coaches in high positions. Like, they're well diverse. And hell, even baseball. Baseball has more African American managers than even the NFL has African American head coaches, and they have less African American players in the league. The MLB has 10% black, where the NFL 70%. Most of these position coaches are black. I want to believe, we all want to believe, because it's human nature, that people are good and people make good choices on credentials, like I was saying before. But that's been to show. You're going to tell me it's mostly all these white guys who are really worthy of these head coaching positions, worthy of these offensive and defensive coordinator positions, that they're the most qualified. They're always the most qualified. That's all we're talking about.
You see how many get fired every year.
We got to have these conversations.
Gunner's boss, it's more disrespectful to know that for so many years in the Supreme Court, they never picked an African-American female as a judge. No problem with adding her now. I think what Steve's trying to say, and let
me answer that.
Well, I was going to answer because I was going to give my answer, but go ahead.
Well, you go after me.
I think our answers are the same
anyway. I agree with you 100%. I just don't think it's any more appropriate to say I'm going to only limit my interviews to black females. Just do a diverse grouping of people you're going to interview and pick the best candidate, be it whatever their race, religion, creed, or color.
Put it like this: Joe Biden could have went in and said, "I'm going to hire this," not told anybody, hired a female black. And I wouldn't, if that's what he wants to do, but don't say it because to me it's disrespectful to all African Americans.
Do it that way.
And I know I'm not African American, but to me, if they told me, well, we got to pick a white guy, that would make me feel kind of
And
crappy.
then how does that? I mean, I don't know. How does that make the African American people look when they go, "We're only getting this job because Biden said he's only interviewing"?
That's what I mean. Yeah. So,
It disrespects them as well.
all right. Gutter says diversity shouldn't be forced on anyone. I agree. English Premier League don't hire blacks as coaches or managers in the front office. No one speaks about it. They don't speak about it in this country because it's soccer, Gutter. Go ahead, Dan.
And I was going to say, as far as that one goes, as far as the Premier League, also soccer players around the world have to deal with a different level of racism than NFL players or professional athletes in America will ever have to deal with.
Well, how about this though? According to what country?
It gets crazy overseas.
Hey, according to what country you're going to, I mean, almost every race gets affected at some point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it's not just saying that somebody sucks. It's hurling racial slurs and insulting someone's threatening someone's family for the color of their skin and questioning their upbringing and all these things and terrible racist things that soccer players and other athletes from around the world have to deal with that American athletes don't, and yet they're still having to deal with their own struggles, and Africans, Americans, and minorities are still dealing with this sort of barrier that they can't just break through, and no one can answer why. And everyone's just like, oh well, it's no, we need answers, and something has to be figured out. The Rooney Rule is nonsense, but something has to be done.
The greatest driver in Formula One racing, which is a European version of IndyCar racing or open wheel racing, is a black driver from England.
Well, good for him. So now they need to let him be the manager of an English Premier League team.
And he dominates that sport. He's respected as much as anybody. He's revered by everybody in there in Europe. He's the highest paid athlete in Europe. And he is God athletically in Europe. And yes, Mike, auto racing.
It's not a sport
that people bet on, therefore it is a sport.
People bet on everything, Steve.
Not the WWE.
Well, that's because it's fake.
Okay.
All
right.
So we'll establish. I won't give you it's a sport, but I'll give you that it's real.
5 to 10 athletes in the world.
They're not.
And he's
the top 5 to 10 athletes. None of them are drivers because all they do is drive. All right, real quick. Gutter's boss, monkey chance of throwing bananas at the players. Just a few of what black players had to face in Europe. I know.
No, it's a real thing out there, man.
I mean, the thing is this. That crap happens
all over the world.
Almost every soccer pitch. I learned that soccer pitch from Steve Risley because he had me watch Ted Lasso, and I liked it.
Love Ted Lasso.
That's a good show. And there's not too much soccer in it, so that's a good thing, too. All right, real quick, let's go and look at the Washington Commanders, which their owners should definitely already be gone. What do you think of the name Commanders, Steve?
What do I think what?
What do you think of the name Commanders?
I'm just reading Gunner's comment. I would guess yes. I think there is I think that even Lewis Hamilton cannot escape racism, and that's sad because there is a human being who should be looked at as the peer, as everybody's target you want to get to, and his skin color doesn't make him a better.
Hey, how about this? I don't watch that stuff. I don't watch that. I don't watch race car driving, Steve, but I have heard of Lewis Hamilton.
What?
I said I don't watch race car driving, but I have heard of Lewis Hamilton. I don't know why. Sure he is. All right, the Washington Commanders, Steve. What do you think? Good name, bad name, stupid name?
It's not a name that strikes anything in my heart. But I don't know how much their hands were tied, how soft they wanted to go, what they were told by the NFL. I don't get the connection other than commander, I guess would be some military person in Washington.
So that's your Washington connection. So we just got to hope the Commanders don't get offended.
But, maybe in 50 years' time, when I'm off the face of the earth, Dan will still be around. It'll have some meaning to it. I don't know, but I don't know what name other than the Redskins would have made me happy.
I do. The Washington Harassments.
Nice.
You like that?
Harassers?
I like
Yeah.
that.
Harassers?
The Washington Harassers. There you go. And they
There you
could have
go.
put a picture of Daniel Snyder on the helmet.
Gross.
That would have been awesome.
Yuck.
Any opinion on this, Dan?
Harassers.
I hate the Commanders. It sounds
Right.
absolutely
Not a
awful.
name I would choose.
I hate it so much. What they should have done is gone with like the Red Hogs or something like that. You know, give some homage to, you know, the Hogs of the past, and they've already had that in their history. So go with something like that, or the Red Wolves or something like that. But Commanders, it's gross. I hate it.
How about the monuments?
You done messed up,
Washington
Ron. You
They'd
done
have to
messed
tear them
up.
down.
What?
They'd have to tear them down.
Tear
You're
'em
not allowed to
down.
have statues or
Yeah, I thought of
monuments.
all the
damn it.
monuments in D.C., you could say, hey, let's watch the monuments. And then they had that movie with George Clooney and John Goodman, Monuments Men. They already got a
Washington
movie made
Predators.
about them.
The Washington Predators. There's already
That's
a
it.
team in professional sports named the Predators.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
is
they're a hockey team. It's fine.
I like the Washington Harassers. I think it's kick ass and nobody else does. All right, our final topic, because I really don't want to talk about the Commanders.
They suck.
Real fans can't afford to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, okay, let me ask
$1,800.
you this, Mike, before
What?
we get off of it. Did Snyder just shove it up the NFL's ass and say, I'm kind of a stupid name like the Commanders?
No. The NFL is not where Schneider shoves it up somebody's ass, unfortunately. But let's go ahead.
It's so terrible, but I
Okay, face value
Oh,
tickets for the
man.
Super Bowl.
Mike,
Face value tickets for the Super Bowl, $1,800. It seems to me the NFL doesn't really tell you how many tickets are allotted to the teams, but from what I've been told from some people inside of some offices of some NFL teams that might be in the Super Bowl, the tickets are each team got approximately 9 to 11,000 tickets. So
each
approximately,
NFL team?
huh?
Each NFL team.
No. The two teams in the Super Bowl, plus the team that hosts the Super Bowl, which of course is the Rams. I guess they get double the tickets, bastards.
awesome.
But do you have an issue with ticket prices being $1,800 a piece? And the problem is, this is a corporate event. They don't want real fans there, and I think that's a shame, Steve.
I agree 100%. I mean, there's no reason. And that $1,800, I assume, is face value.
Yeah,
Because
face
they're going
value
out
is
here.
$1,800.
It's $7,000 to walk in the stadium right now in LA. I live in LA.
Yeah, that's
So
with
if you wanna
the
go
StubHub
to-
tickets or whatever. Yeah.
One of the ticket brokers, you're going to spit out $7,000 for nosebleed seats. And for kind of big screen TV I can buy for $7,000, and the amount of chicken wings I can buy for $7,000, and have money left over.
Not if you used it all on the chicken wings and the TV, Steve. I think you
No,
forgot a comma.
yeah. You
But
couldn't spend all that money on chicken
so
wings.
my thing is this. This to me, it gets shoved under the table every year, Dan. And you never see ESPN do a report on the high price of Super Bowl tickets. So we know they control the Hold on, this is good. You clowns are closet supremacists. The NFL is trash, and so are you goofballs. Your name is Rex. All right? Don't respond to him. His name is Rex. Nobody named Rex is usually worth a damn. So,
Dude, I've
Rex,
just spent the last 40 minutes
I know.
talking about how the
Before
NFL
you
needs
get out.
change and how the black coaches need to be recognized. Shut up, Rex. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
your
You
name's
fucking
Rex.
Troll, you
Yeah.
fool.
go tell your mom to get the meatloaf ready. You're down in
Yeah.
the basement. You're ready for it.
Shouldn't you be
Rex-
collecting change from people crossing your bridge? Get out of here, jabroni.
He
idiot.
couldn't get a job that good. You'd have to be able to
Clown
count,
has no
Dan.
peace. He's sucking.
Oh,
Everybody
That's all
knows
I
it.
can say is thank you for the feedback. And
Oh hell! A closet supremacist. I know
Yeah,
because
that's
because I want Jim Caldwell to be the first guy hired
Yeah.
when a head
Yeah.
coaching job
I
comes
think
up.
Brian Flores has gotten
Rex,
screwed.
you suck, and everybody knows it.
Yeah, Rex, go get a new
The
name.
best coach in the NFL right now is Tomlin. If I was starting a football team, I'd want Tomlin as my coach.
I would. I'd want Bill Belichick
No, I wouldn't. I'd
because
want
I'm a
Tomlin.
closet racist, not because he won 7 Super Bowls.
I'm scared that what Belichick's going to
Here,
do.
I think Joseph. I think Joseph Michael
how to
says
attack.
it best. Rex, dumbass. There you go. Joe always has some. Yeah, hold on, we got Gunner's gonna chime in. Rex just answered Rex in the background. Rex is the name of my mongrel dog. Oh, Rex made another comment, but you know the sad thing about Rex? Since he's a fucking moron, I'm not going to show it or tell you what it is. All right, Rex, go suck a big one. Here we go. Who we got next?
Rex, don't take him seriously.
Oh no, I'm serious. Because if he thinks
Oh.
I'm a closet racist, I mean, he can
That's
go to
butt.
hell.
But no, Mike, as
Mike, I think you're a closet racist.
Rex
No.
aside,
Well, I got a daughter who's African American. I'd probably debate that with you. But all right,
My son dates an
I'll
African
say,
woman.
real fans can't afford to go to the Super Bowl, Dan.
yeah, I would say Rex aside. I mean, I think there's something to that. When you look around sports, tickets for championship games are ridiculous. And it's not just with professional sports. Like you look at oh sure, the NFL, thousands of dollars. You look at Major League Baseball, you're spending $1,000 minimum to go to a World Series game, and they got 7 games, 7, 800, 900 plus, $1,000 plus. And then you look at college sports, championship games.
Gunner, I'll never block anybody.
Spend a couple grand.
Right. We don't block anybody on this show except Dan.
No, not me. But no, like you could spend a couple grand even on college games. Like there's something to that, man. Not everyone can afford to spend $1,500 on a ticket, plus staying accommodations, plus travel, plus food, plus this, plus that. Like it's ugly and it's not fair, but it's a business, and people will pay for these tickets.
Yeah, so and the thing. Go ahead.
I agree.
That's capitalism, baby.
Mike, what is the need to do this? Why do they need to jack the price? They make so much freaking money. I would think they want a regular.
They don't want normal people.
To go to these games.
They don't want normal people.
I mean, and you know the silly part is you say they don't want regular people there.
They don't.
Okay, right. So why jack the prices to $2,000 when corporations can pay it much easier than any 3 of us could?
Because they're basing. This is the thing. The NFL gets I think 50% of the tickets. I'm betting most of these corporations aren't even paying for the tickets. They're given because they are part of that $1 billion TV contract.
Right.
It's a joke because you get a Super Bowl. Everybody's freaking out in Cincinnati because it's at LA. Hell, the Rams don't have that many fans to begin with. And on top of that, I mean, usually, San Francisco had as many fans there as the Rams, but they're not giving you enough tickets for it to matter. And most of the people sitting in the good seats are people that don't give 2 shits about the game anyways. They're just there to be seen. They're there to tell all their friends they're at the Super Bowl. The NFL is an absolute outright joke. The way they treat players, the way they treat fans, the way they treat everybody but the NFL itself. I mean, you had them with Congress. It was brought up the other night. I think Joe brought it up jokingly about it being non-for-profit. But they were non-profit, or not-for-profit from 1963 up until a few years ago because Congress passed it for them. And, I mean, this is
and got free tickets. Any senator or congressman, and I'm sure can go.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. Because you want to get votes. And Joseph Michael says it. I know Joe went to I think he went to Kansas City and possibly Tennessee. I know he went to Kansas City because I saw the pictures of him and his kids. And that's something where Joe, who's been a Bengals fan his whole life, just like I have, would love to go watch their team play in the Super Bowl, but it's unattainable. Because right now the Bengals offer, round trip airfare, a ticket to the game, and hotel accommodations for $10,000 a person. A normal person can't do that. Where I live, the average median salary a year is like $40,000. So if you're taking your wife and your kid, you're going to work for a year before you pay the damn game off. And hold on here. This is the thing, Joe. The thing about SoFi, from what I've heard,
change anything, Joe.
They can expand SoFi to 100,000 if they want, can't they, Dan? Or probably
I mean, honestly,
but I did see that
NFL can do whatever they want.
No, I don't know if they can expand it to 100, but
and how about this?
80. But you know what? 30 minutes away, they've got the Rose Bowl. The seats $100,000.
Yeah, and they've played the Super Bowl at the Rose Bowl in front of $100,000. But the problem is this: if you played at the Rose Bowl now, and there's 106,000 plus tickets. They're going to give each team 15,000, and the NFL is going to take the rest. You're going to have the same issue.
It's not going to go. That's what I said. It's not going to go away anyway.
They're just going to give more tickets away to people like that. So, I mean, I wish they would play the Super Bowl, at Lambeau Field every year. Play the game outdoors. Let's see who football players are. You don't play inside in a damn dome. You know, you watch Paul Hornung, against the Cleveland Browns in 1964, 65 in the mud, in the rain. That's football. What we get now is
Mike, I might disagree with you just a little bit for this reason.
it's because your team
I
plays in a dome.
went to the Colts when when Indianapolis held the Super Bowl or hosted the Super Bowl. I went to the fan experience and went down there. It was a really neat thing, and a lot of people were never going to get to the game because they couldn't afford game tickets.
Did it cost anything to get into the fan experience?
Of going down, like seeing all the rings, all the Super Bowl rings are all there. They've got them again this year out here in LA. There's a lot of things that, I've been to Canton, Ohio, and seen the Hall of Fame, been in the Hall of Fame. And it's a neat experience to move the thing around. The problem is I just don't understand the greed in jacking ticket prices through the roof. And they don't say, 50% of tickets are going to be on sale to the general public.
Because they're not. I mean, it's about 20% by the time you're done.
Out here in LA right now, they're taking reservations right now at the park, $600 if you want to buy a closed parking spot. And it's a reservation. You have to give your credit card right now.
And they never treat Native Americans right either, Steve. You're right.
Boom.
There you go. You both got it at the same time. Right now, I want to bring up the fact that it's not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker and table games.
Joseph played a NASCAR simulator at the Football Hall of Fame or the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I've been to the NASCAR Hall of Fame too.
Maybe Joe will want to do a NASCAR show with you, Steve.
There you go.
Yeah, Dan, get me off the air.
All right,
I'm retiring, Dan.
And I was kidding about the Lambeau Field. I think just though everybody's worried.
Shut down.
We should be quiet, Steve. So I'm going to shut you down if you just keep talking about general bullshit. But what I would say is this: I think you got 32 stadiums, 32 rotation. I mean, what are the chances the home team ends up if you're doing all 32 stadiums? Sometimes you're playing indoors, sometimes you're playing outdoors. I know when your Indianapolis Colts finally won a Super Bowl, it was outdoors and maybe the worst weather that the NFL has ever had a Super Bowl played in.
And
that was Super Bowl 41.
In the Super Bowl in the last 30 years too.
The Giants team back in 2000 was pretty bad, but yeah, I give you the Bears.
We were close. We were
the
close.
Bears. It doesn't matter.
Rex Grossman sucks.
Opening kickoff, that game would have been nothing.
Rex Grossman's butt.
You know what? Rex Grossman just tweeted and he asked, "What has Dan Kornhauser ever done?"
I didn't lose in the Super Bowl and just put up an egg on national television. That's what I haven't done.
You ever played a football game, Dan?
I did, and I was not good.
3rd grade, 4th grade.
So have we all just come to the conclusion that the NFL is a really screwed up organization that has just got such a good product and such a fan-based loyalty that they can just overcome everything and shove it up your butt?
Yeah, because
the NFL, we don't have to.
Yeah, because you know what? The only reason I watch the Red Zone and occasionally a Sunday night or Monday night game is so I can bet on the games because it makes the game interesting. And we have a new provider here, MaximBet.com, 100% deposit match, bonus up to $2,000 plus, and a $56 free bet credit. So if you want to check them out, go to the description in the YouTube video on our page. Click on it. It'll take you there and tell you all about it. All right, guys. Anything else we want to discuss before we wrap it up?
I just want to say I hope that the Flores lawsuit and everything that comes with it, everything coming out about owners asking coaches to tank, anything coming out about the Dan Snyder situation and the sexual harassment and the problems within the Washington organization. I hope all these things that are coming out actually lead to change lead to institutional changes, lead to actual ramifications for guilty parties and people really sullying not only the integrity of the game and the league and their franchises, their cities, their fan bases, but really just making a mockery of the whole game itself on so many levels. And I hope all these things coming to light, no matter how crazy or ugly they get, I hope it leads to real change all across the board, because the fact that we've spent a whole hour talking about this and around the nation, radio shows, podcasts, TV shows are talking about this. And it's not just sports, like you said, Mike, it's actual news. It's out there. People are talking about it. That's awesome. I hope it leads to real change.
Steve?
Do you think it will?
No, because I would look at this. I would look at the CTE thing. They made that go away. They settled out of court. The players that have issues still have to fight like hell to get any money from the NFL. But it's been covered up. Why is it covered up? Because the only way you could really get this out is if regular news really starts to push it. Because ESPN, the NFL controls the narrative on their product. The narrative is pushed through ESPN, CBS, Fox. So will these people actually do anything about it? And we saw with the CTE issue, they didn't. We saw, you remember when it came out that the military actually had to pay to have the commercials and the flyovers and everything in NFL games. You know, that was covered up. They paid them off. You don't have to pay anymore. Everybody acts like nothing bad ever happened. That's what the NFL does. Go ahead.
Well,
I was gonna say,
it's just like, and we were part of this at one time. We looked at, as a consortium of a bunch of guys, we looked at pitching in and buying a suite at Lucas Oil. As a bunch of guys, so it wasn't like we were all going to put a lot of money into it, but we'd all have tickets and opportunities to go sit in the suite. And we read the contract and like that, and it was all good. It said, except when an NFL wants to take your suites, and then you don't get them. So all the people right now in SoFi that own suites
Ain't getting them.
ain't getting them for the Super Bowl. They
Unless
don't get them.
they're paying $250,000 or something.
What?
Unless they're paying out the ass, and then it's probably still going to
Well,
their
they
big
got to
corporate
pay the
partners in the
NFL.
NFL.
But no, the NFL resells those suites after the owners have paid for year round, and the owners are obligated to buy tickets for every event in SoFi, whether they want to go or not. So if there's a monster truck pull in SoFi, which there have been, you got to buy tickets for it. Well, I don't want to go to the monster truck pull. You got to open up your suite. It's got to be open. You got to buy food. You're charged for food, and you have to buy as many tickets as many seats are in your suite.
All right, we'll let Gunner have the final word. He said nothing will happen as long as the players show up and play in the game. And 100 million people across the globe watch. Hell, there's more than 100 million people in this country that watch. And the only way this changes is if there's a lot more under the surface here, which I think possibly could be, and you possibly get some other things come up that affect the integrity of the game. I think that's the only way anything changes. It's the only thing that changed Major League Baseball was a thrown 1919 World Series.
The court of public opinion in today's society holds as much weight as anything. And with so many different things coming at the NFL at once, and it's not just, the racism angle of it, but it's racism, it's sexual harassment, it's collusion, it's all these different things. And there's so much going on that the court of public opinion holds a lot of weight. And as long as people are talking about it, and as long as people are aware of what's going on, if this keeps growing, like you said, Mike, then there's nothing that's going to stop this from snowballing and leading to actual change. And that's all we can really hope for.
All right, and Gunner says...
I got three things to say. One of them includes Gunner's. Number one, Dan, I think that holds true in every other caveat except the NFL. People are so damn loyal with their teams that all they want to see is their team back on the field. All I want is the Colts to go to training camp. This other stuff will fade out of my mind at the time the Colts.
That's the problem, though. It shouldn't.
That's true to some degree.
It is true to some degree. I'm just waiting for
Definitely.
the Colts make a decision on Wentz, get his ass out of there, give me a quarterback who can move the football and balance out Jonathan Taylor, build up our defensive backs a little bit. That's all I'm thinking about with the NFL right now. I'm rooting for the Bengals. I'm going to bet on the Rams, but I'm rooting for the Bengals. I want the Bengals to win.
That's how the pick'em show ends, people. It's a tie.
I don't give a damn about Dan Snyder, about where Brian Flores is coaching. Come training camp opens up and the season begins. I'm back to just being a damn Colts fan. It's as simple as that.
All
Secondly,
right,
Gunner's comments. Let the player. Why punish the players?
It's
That's
not
the
punishing
problem
the
here.
players. This is the thing, though.
Well,
this
you
is
see,
the
the
last
players don't
NFL
play
game
the
that ever needs to be
Like the
played,
Olympics.
though. That's what matters. I mean, if the Bengals win, I don't give a shit if the NFL ever exists again. I just want to see one Super Bowl win. I
There you
get
go.
that. I don't give a shit. I might start watching NASCAR. Me and Steve will do a weekly NASCAR show.
Dude, I'm all for that.
Hell yeah, I'll move into a trailer park. I'll start smoking weed and drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. And me and Steve will chill.
We can hook up your trailer to my Ram pickup truck, and we can just go to the infield, buy a spot, and park there.
Hey, look at this. Sam Teach showed up. He says Mike wants to go out on top. That is correct.
Yo, watch our draft show every Monday.
Yeah, because Sam's really good.
Sam's really good. I gotta agree.
A couple of goats talking draft knowledge.
I listen to you guys.
Magic.
But back to Gunner, I don't think that the players should be a part of this. This is above the players' pay grade. They just want to play. They want to win the Super Bowl. It's a sport to them for the most part, I think. I
don't think it is. I mean, I think this is bigger
better than anybody.
Dude, I can tell you this. If everything is true, it's not worth playing the game anymore.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's ugly.
I don't want to believe that. I'm going to hold out on believing that.
Hey, this is the thing. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying this. I'm saying if everything is true, blow it up. Because I tell you what, there's still other billionaires that would love to have an NFL franchise.
Hell yeah.
They'll just turn it into USFL. All the rich guys will go to the USFL. You'll have a real league, and maybe everything will be run right from learning from the mistakes of this colossal failure. I mean, the NFL has been a success as a business, as making money. They have failed the players. They've failed the fans. And when you do that,
he's got a league starting up.
I think there's 2 or 3 leagues starting up that'll all fail unless this was to happen. All right, real quick. Joe says, hey, the CFL is only 4 months away. I lost interest in the CFL after 2 years after COVID. So I was always a Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan. And then Gunner says I could go out like Tom, Mike Brady, Mike, on top. I prefer to be on top because that means I won. Quit thinking dirty, Dan. You got a smirk on your face, and you totally ignored what Joe said. Good show, guys.
Are we
Dan,
not doing phrasing anymore?
Dan, I'm disappointed. We still haven't seen you shave that beard.
Joseph, trust me when I tell you, no one wants to see that.
We don't want to see you with the beard.
It's better.
We don't want to see you with the same backwards hat.
I think Dan's fine.
I love this hat. Yo, this hat is badass, dude. It's got all the teams on it.
Cool. Dan's cool.
I used to have stuff like that when I was 8.
Yo, this is badass. I love this hat. I got it for my birthday. It's sexy. I love it.
Well, I guess when you're a Lions fan, people will never guess it, so they won't make fun of you. That's the best part about now. People don't make fun of me since I'm a Bengal fan. Oh, yeah, that is true, because me and Sam got free Manscaped stuff. You did miss the Manscaped promo. But I'll tell you what. They sent it to us.
I never got one sent to me.
You should be happy, because I don't know about Sam's experience with it. But for the first month, I used it. You know, you shave your privates, you shave everything, and it's supposed to not cut you. But I can tell you this. It can. It really can. I'm in the shower, and I'm shaving my boys. And all of a sudden, I feel this nit. And, oh, shit. And I look down, and there's just a little bitty cut. And it don't look like much. Don't look like much. But then when you try to wash your balls and you put soap on it, it just burns like a mother. And that's why we stopped working with Manscaped.
And he gave himself a vasectomy in the shower. Now
Well,
we
I
know.
felt
Good job.
bad. I felt bad because I mean, I even did a little commercial for him where at the end of it, I came up with my own little tagline, and Sam can tell you about it. You won't nick your nuts, but I had to stop saying it because you will. And the bad thing is, right after I did the "won't nick your nuts" promo, I nicked my freaking nuts. I mean, it can't get much worse than that.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Hey, and by the way, Dan or Steve, if either one of you guys want to fly in, I got one extra ticket to the Bengals pep rally on Monday night at Paul Brown Stadium.
Your wife's
Party in Cincinnati?
Huh? Yeah, Cincinnati. You want to go to the Bengal pep rally?
Fucking party in Cincy?
I bet Joe's going.
Oh, Cincy is one of the best towns in the world to party in.
No way.
It's the best town in the world to live in, by the way, too.
It is. Cincy is a great American city.
Put it like this, Dan. Like almost every member of the 1988 Bengals still lives in Cincinnati, including Anthony Munoz, who lived in L.A. And I'll tell you, Joe's going to the Bengal, pep rally. Joe, we need to hook up before there, so you need to DM me your phone number. I haven't seen Joe in forever, and he actually lives in Indiana now.
God, I used to hang out down at Limelight back when I was in high school.
That's all stuff that wasn't there because I probably wasn't born yet.
It was so great, Cincinnati. You could get at 18, you could get 3.2 beer.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I went to Indiana State, you could actually get beer if you were 19.
Well, you weren't supposed to be able to.
In Illinois.
Oh, you go to Illinois.
Yeah, because I was at Indiana State. We're at Terre Haute, so we just drive across the border. Right. And whichever one of us was old enough, which was not me, would go in and get the beer. I wouldn't drink it because I'm against drinking. Well, I really wasn't against it back then. I'm not for it now. I'm not completely against it, but I'm pretty against it.
Cincy's one of the coolest towns in the world. It really is. If there's ever a team that deserves a Super Bowl win,
Joe's definitely not going. He's already copping out. I am, unless they reschedule basketball games. I'm helping call them on the radio. See, we ought to just have Joe on the show.
Come on,
Joe. Joe, hit me up. I'll have you on with Joe Kelly on our Bengals show next week. Just not the good show when Reggie Williams is on. We'll give you one of the show. We do Tuesday night.
Hey, one other thing I wanted to make a comment on. All you guys talking about the NBA. The NBA is the biggest freaking joke for a professional sports league in the world.
I don't know. I think the NFL is trying to give it a match.
No, the NBA is based so much on self-promotion, self-preservation. They're pretty much owned by China now.
We are.
Aren't
we all?
Hell,
if you go on eBay now and try to buy Bengals stuff, it all comes from there.
Well, but no, I'm talking about the league is pretty well geared toward China watching their games. I think it's only a matter of a short period of time before the NBA has 2 or 3 teams in China. And what you're going to have is like the Lakers will go to China for 3 weeks or a month and play a series of 2 games or something like that with each of the teams in China. And China will send a team to the United States to make that same run.
So will this be like Kyrie Irving says he won't get vaccinated? He can't play home games. So if there's like a Muslim wigger on the Lakers, he won't be able to go for the games in China.
I think that they'll.
But I won't even watch the Olympics just because of that. Because when you got a country that's committed genocide on 2 million, when you got a country that has committed genocide on 2 million people over the last 3 or 4 years,
on national TV starting tomorrow, it's on NBC every day for the next 2 weeks. I mean, 24 hours a day, it's on.
It's always like that, Steve. It's the Olympics.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
Yo, Steve's not wrong though about the NBA being owned by China. Maury said that those people dying was a bad thing, and
they made him apologize.
China stopped showing Rockets games, and they cut off their partnership with the Houston Rockets.
I thought they cut off all NBA games till they apologized.
No. It was just with Houston, and then they fired Maury, and then the Chinese market came back. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a show I'd love to do with Dan and those guys. If I ever got invited to be on their NBA show.
We didn't have one this week.
Jeez.
I'd love to get on and talk about China's ownership of the NBA and what a joke the NBA is.
We'll do it, Steve. You just gotta,
it's absolutely pathetically ridiculous, that whole league.
It is.
All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We're about an hour and 15 minutes in. I want to thank everybody that watched,
Hey,
everybody
thanks
that
everybody for
listened.
participating with us tonight.
Yeah, except for that Rex dude. You're a dumbass.
No,
All right.
Rex is cool. Gunner, Sammy, good to have Sammy Teets on. Sam, come on as a guest, and we'll probably try not to abuse you.
Yeah, we
No,
can drop Dan.
Rex
for
is the kind of guy who would go use your bathroom, he would pee, and he would leave this toilet seat.
No,
up. He's
leave
just a
Dan,
jerk.
leave Rex alone. I had a dog named Rex that I loved.
So you're saying Rex is a dog. All right, guys, make sure you follow Steve Risley at SRisley34. You can follow Dan at
DB Talking Sports. D is in Dan, B is in Bob.
Yeah, I still think it's D as in douche and B as in bag, but you can follow me at Grueling Truth.
Yes, I
We
forgot
will
to
be
plug my
back.
headphones in.
We will be back next week. We will probably do more than one show just because me and Steve really love Dan, even though you can't.
Oh man,
tell.
you guys sound better. I just plugged my headphones in. We drag this on for another 30 minutes.
Well, no, I think that Sam Teach should come on the NFL the Super Bowl Pick'em show.
Yeah, Sam, let's do it.
Hey,
Yeah,
wait,
Sam.
the last thing.
Yeah.
You guys have Hulu?
Yeah.
No, I got YouTube.
You gotta watch the Tommy Lee and Pamela show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's real, huh?
I bet.
Oh my God, it is. It's pornography. No. Tommy Lee talks
Hey,
to
you
his-
know, at least once a
talk
month,
to his-
Dan, Steve calls me and says, "Hey, we can't do the show yet. I got to clean all the Pornhub off my computer. It's freezing."
Gross. Yuck.
You
Yeah.
gotta. Tommy Lee
likes
actually
computer
talks
show,
to
yeah.
his Mr. Friendly down there,
Pineapple.
and Mr. Friendly talks back.
I don't like
Hey,
it.
just tell him to not let Mr. Friendly get near that manscaped
I
stuff.
hate it. This is the worst.
I mean,
time of
it
life.
won't hurt Mr. Friendly, but it'll hurt
Oh, I'm
Mr.
telling
Friendly's
you.
friends.
You have got to watch
I need
Tommy
an
and
adult.
Emily on Hulu.
Oh,
First 3
God.
episodes
Gunner made a comment. Steve and the talking
and the
penis.
talking
No, you
penis.
put it.
So Gunner, are you talking about me and Mike?
Terrible.
Gunner, are you talking about Mike and I?
That's what
Jay,
we're
look, I resemble it. Oh, hell, I think we went off the rails again. It took
We've
longer
lost
this
it
week.
now.
Yeah, we should have been off the air already.
All the
Yeah.
kids are in bed by now. It's 9:30.
Yeah,
Who's got a real phone? That's got to be Risley because he's 85.
that's my wife calling me.
Well, answer it. Let's see what she's up to.
Gotham
No, I'm
needs
not
saving.
answering it.
Well, you know what you could do since you're not going to answer a phone during a show? You could turn the damn phone
I know.
off.
I didn't realize. I told her not to call me.
Amateur hour out
I
here.
called her about 2 hours ago and said,
Rookie.
"Don't call me after 5 o'clock because I'm going to be doing a show."
Sam said all hell's breaking loose. Sam knows how that is.
Stop the damn match.
Probably
Stop
why I
the
didn't do it
damn
again.
match.
Gunner says I'm talking about Tommy Lee, the movie, Steve. Also, Gunners, we need to get the Jamaican guys on with us at least one day next week, either during the day or
Oh,
in
those
the
guys
evening.
are great.
So,
Countryman, I can't wait to talk to Countryman again and Preacher Boy. Or
we need cool nicknames like that. Stevie Penis.
no, I just be dickhead.
Gross. Awful. We're done here.
All right,
Check, please.
we're done. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. But for now, I want you all to remember one important thing.
What?
Betting.net is not just sports betting. Betting.net compared. Dan was afraid of what I was going to say. Compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, play the top online slots, poker, and table games. All right, guys, we will be back in the next week. Follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. Like our Facebook page and subscribe to us on YouTube. But for now, for Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser, I am Mike Goodpasture. You have been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.